It is Tuesday night after a couple weeks off, and well, at least for me, and a week off for West. We're back with another episode of Goal Horns and Fight Songs. A little bit slow time of the year, just it being the off season, but we still have a couple things to talk about at least.
Yeah, no, we are deep into the off season. The transfer portal is now an exit only. I think unless there is an extenuating circumstance like a coach leaving somewhere in the summer, I believe can still allow a couple guys to jump in. That was the situation last year with how Western got Alex Bump. Vermont had a coaching change, which allowed those players, if they felt the necessary to enter the portal. Bump did so, commits to Western Michigan, has a great freshman year. So I believe that is still on the table as an extenuating circumstance. But other than that, players can now only leave the portal to either sign with new college teams if they choose to remove themselves and go back to their old team, if they go back to the minors, if they have that eligibility available to them, or to the pro ranks. So still a little bit of wait and see. And there were, a couple names that trickled in late. Western Michigan had what would be a fifth year senior in Hugh Larkin enter the portal as of May 5th. He is the fourth player from Western to jump in, has yet to commit to a new landing spot, but only four entered the portal, so not terrible. They do pull out two, three, five new Broncos coming to Western through the portal. So not a bad year, not over. I think a little bit lighter than what they did last year. I believe there's a pretty good class coming in as far as freshmen go that a lot of people are excited about. But with what was a big senior class, it's still interesting to see who may come back for an extra year, who may come back for a standard fourth year. We did have a couple guys leave early. So fun stuff there. I believe Minnesota Duluth was really quiet this year as far as portal goes.
We kind of have been quiet, but I want to go back and the goalie that you had transfer in who spent the season the in the juniors leagues. I want to see how you pronounce his last name because your last name is a handful.
I was looking at it earlier, and I don't even remember what I said earlier. Bardo Zawikits?
I don't know, but if he plays, then we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
I wanted to hear you say it.
I'm pretty sure he's just going to be referred to as Bart or Owen.
But yeah, we did lose
or Bardo.
We did lose a couple seniors, then a junior in Clevin who I believe transferred in from North Dakota.
No, there was a North Dakota had a player whose name was extremely similar.
Maybe it was Tyler
Clevin or something like that.
Yeah, Tyler versus Kyler.
Yeah.
And
I think Clevin was spelt slightly different between the two as well. But yeah.
Yeah, we lose Stayskull, Biondi. Biondi, I think, just wanted more playing time, and Luke Johnson, and then we added Joe Molinar, a senior from St. Cloud State, whose cousin also played for UMD, and he was a defenseman. I know we talked about this before, but kind of typical UMD don't really dip into the transfer portal like other squads do. We have a few guys in the USHL that are going to be coming in, and one can't remember his first name, but his last name is Shagabe, who is from War Road, and I believe he won Mr. Hockey. He's going to be coming in kind of like Bump, who went to Western Michigan, who was Mr. Hockey. So top prospect can come in and do things for the team, especially for a team that's starved for offense like UMD is. Even though that's not their MO, you got to score more than one goal a game.
Yeah.
So having Chagabe come in probably this upcoming season, hopefully he'll inject something like a Ben Steves did.
Honestly, I think Ben Steves was your biggest loss, and it wasn't to the portal; it was to the pros. So I think you're doing all right if your biggest losses end up signing pro deals, as opposed to just finding a new college place to play.
Yeah, and he was our biggest loss. He was our offense, but good for him. Um, I will never blame a guy for going pro. If they think they're ready, good for you. You know, I might not think you're ready, kind of like a Ryan McAllister. I think, last year I think he could have used one more year at Western, but same time, you think you're ready, go for it. Make your money while you can, because college hockey is not a hot spot for NIL money in most places.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would be surprised with what these guys are getting the top players, but to me, it seems like it's such a niche sport or a niche fan base that I don't know that it carries the same weight. But that being said, like I think a couple of the like biggest earners last year were actually on the women's basketball side, Caitlin Clark and the LSU squad that
Oh,
beat them.
Angel
Angel,
Reese.
yeah, I think they might
Yep.
have been like a couple of the top earners as far as college athletes went last year. So if you can make a name that transcends just your sport, I think the money is out there and exists for these players to make bank even at the college level. I just don't know that it's as widespread as it is in say football or men's basketball. Um,
And I think I know we harp on this because it is so new for everyone, but college hockey, you look at a lot of the markets that these teams are in. Um, North Dakota, they have an advantage. The Big Ten, they have an advantage. But a Denver, yeah, they're Division 1 in a lot of sports, but they're for basketball purposes, they're mid-major. Colorado College men's hockey is the only Division 1. UMD's Division 2. Mankato, um, UMass is a small Division 1. Niagara, Ferris State, all these small schools. Hockey might be their only Division 1 sport, and these communities can't fund the NI the nil money, the NIL money. So I think hockey kind of gets put as an outlier as far as the four, as we would say, the four major sports, as far as men's sports with basketball, football, baseball, and hockey.
I think it also depends on what pro sports are around you too. Like I think the ones that have kind of the best opportunity to really do big money is kind of North Dakota. That
Mm-hmm.
hockey team is basically a pro team as far as like the community draw to it, uh, what they do outside of uh, schools, the school stuff. I think they're potentially trying to get it so you can buy current player jerseys, and it's to me the reason they're able to do it is because there's a third party non school related entity who runs their like quote unquote school store or whatever where you can buy like the
Mm-hmm.
North Dakota hockey team based gear that and they'll do the stitching for the jerseys and put names on them if they're previous players or custom jerseys and things like that. I think because it's someone who's not tied into the university, they can pay for the rights to one get the jerseys and make them replica jerseys. They pay for the licensing from the university for the monikers and things like that. then they set up another deal with the players to use their name, image, or likeness. Like that's essentially that is the role model for what NIL should be. Is it's not coming from the school. It's a percentage going directly to the players for the use of their name. It's providing something to the community that we really haven't seen before, as far as like current player swag or memorabilia or replica jerseys. Um, because really a lot of them are just jerseys that are getting thrown away at the end of the year, or they somehow get past the equipment managers. Usually the names are cut off, so it's people spending extra money to put names back on, photo matching things to like say like, okay, this was the jersey worn these years. This player is the one most likely to have worn it, or they're winning them through like specialty auctions. Like I have a game worn auction jersey that I know Drew Warhead wore for one game because they only wore that jersey one game, and it was
Hmm.
auctioned off immediately after that game. I have a couple other game warrants that I could assume certain players worn because those were the years that they were in use, but I don't know exactly when those jerseys were retired to say that it's 100% this player's jersey type of
And
situation.
it's been kind of a fascinating thing to listen to. There's a current Minnesota basketball player uh, that he's like a 32nd year senior, because COVID years, and he's transferred and whatever. He came from D2, but he's been doing a lot of radio uh, talk, and it's interesting to get his perspective. But then a lot of here is saying what they need to do is almost make the the NIL contracts incentivize, where, yeah, okay, we'll give you, I don't know who it was that they were talking. I think it was this morning. It was like they're getting $2 million, which ridiculous amount of money for 18, 19-year-old kids. But we'll give you 750 up front, but you have to stay for another year to get the remaining 1.25 million. Like, incentivize it. It's just a can of worms. But again, hockey is so different, especially because um, these kids turn pro, but sometimes they're not ready. And a lot of kids, you see, they go 2, 3 years in college. Yes, after the third year, the pro ranks are worried about them, especially if they're a top prospect. But after that first year, second year, they have the advisors with the team saying, hey, maybe stay one more year in college and develop your game a little more, versus a hockey or football or basketball, where these kids are just going one year, maybe two. Um,
Football,
and the
you
kid,
have to do, was it two or
well,
three?
football is three,
Yeah.
but even the
Bas-
transferring there, it's kind of like, well, what is it going to gain you by transferring? Basketball, I think, is the most one that's apt to transferring after 1 year if you are going to transfer.
yeah. I mean, you have to play 1 year of college basketball. So
Yeah, I think, is Kobe the last one? I think Kobe, or no, LeBron was the
LeBron.
last one.
Yeah.
Yep, LeBron was like the last one. But
Yeah.
even now, you don't necessarily have to play 1 year of college. You can go to, I think it's G League Ignite or something like that, where you go play a year of professional basketball because it's not the NBA, or you can go overseas and
Yeah.
play a year there and then enter the draft and be drafted.
Yeah, there's still different rounds. I mean, even hockey has different rounds. You don't have to play NCAA hockey. You're
Mm-hmm.
you're drafted. What I think the draft opens at 18. I think it is. It's like 18 to 21 or 22 for North American players. It extends out a little bit for Euros and overseas players.
Yeah, I think it's like 23 or something like that for
Non-North
European
Americans.
players.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
like yeah, anybody not from the continent.
there's the CHL. There's overseas. Everything. I mean, Austin Matthews played what in the Swiss league before being drafted by Toronto. Um,
I mean, Kaprizov got drafted out of the KHL, I think.
yeah.
He might have been in
Um,
the BHL, but one of the two, one of the top two leagues in Russia. So you can be drafted out of any of those top pro leagues.
yeah.
Um, Guys get drafted out of Liga. Uh,
But I was just talking about like a player who's like 18, 19 years old. Like Austin Matthews came in pretty young. Um, McDavid came in at like 18, I think.
yeah, because they get the exception for
Yeah.
underage players in
Bedard
the
this year
CHL.
came in at
Yeah,
18. Those guys can't even play in like they can't even play in the ECHL. They either have to, I think, like if they don't make their pro team, like they have to go back to the CHL or back overseas or something. Um,
yeah, because it was. I know there was a thing with Dumba when Matt Dumba was here in his first year. I think it's like 8 games or something, and then he had to go back to because he didn't make the team, so he had to go back to the Portland Winterhawks. And the only reason I remember why he was there is because I knew a guy that ended up playing for the Winterhawks and was like touted as his replacement. Now, he never made the show, but he is in the NHL video game from whatever year that was. But yeah, it's like 8 games or something that they have their trial period. Uh, and then either they make the team or they have to go back to their juniors team in the CHL.
but back to the NCHC. Now that we've gotten completely off topic and off task here, I think there's
What's
only
new?
technically one. I mean, you could say two in conference transfers, but uh, the goaltender who went to North Dakota out of Arizona State didn't play in the conference yet. He's just now, ASU is now a conference school. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
really going to count that. But the only other one is Tristan Lemaire from Denver's transferring to Western Michigan. That's the only in conference transfer this year. Um, Sophomore who put up 6 points, 2 goals, 4 assists. Not big numbers, but I still feel like this was a big get for Western. I feel like Tristan played well for the Pios. Um, and he's a player that has, a national championship to his name, and that experience doesn't come easy. So to have that kind of level, a guy with that kind of experience in the locker room, I think could really only help Western try and figure out how to get over those first round blues. Maybe. Um, we still don't know a lot of what this team is going to look like. I think a few teams have announced at least some of the players coming back. I think Miami may have even put out either Miami or maybe it's Colorado College has already put out like their captains for next year.
I know we
Um,
did.
yeah, I think
At
Duluth might
least
have
our
been one of them
captain.
too.
Yeah. And it is. I'm gonna find it. I think it was a good choice, but just give me a second because this was a week or two ago and my memory is trash.
I mean, plus, it doesn't help that we weren't talking about anything the last couple weeks.
Uh, Dominic James.
Is the captain?
He is our captain.
I think they
So
named your alternates too, but let me double check. I think there was a whole
uh,
tweet.
not according to the Instagram.
Well, let's see if they mentioned them in the article that says. I don't know why you would only announce your captain, but apparently that's all they did. Weird.
We're not that smart up north.
Yeah. He's the only one so far announced. I think I'm pretty sure I saw somebody else announce like all of them. Let me see if it's Colorado College. No, well, I mean they've announced who they're. Oh, Jacob Slavin is up for the Lady Byng Award, former Colorado College Tiger there. Da, da, da. Yep, dead air time because we don't know what we're doing before we do it.
Nope, not at all. And I also got distracted because of searching. There were pictures of Jenna Fisher.
Here we go. Stanley Cooley, Ethan Starkey, and Noah Laba will be captain and alternate captains. Cooley being the captain, Starkey and Laba the assistant captains. So college did announce theirs. Let's see who else may or may not have.
I think that's good for Colorado College. Those guys deserve it. And, they've been there now a little bit, and they have the experience. I was going to go back to the transfer that you got from Denver. The interesting part, and I know you say it every year, let's just see how these guys gel on the ice. Yes, that experience helps, but how confident is he in the locker room? How confident is he going to be saying, hey guys, this is what we need to do, especially being in a new environment? That's going to be kind of interesting. It's a lot easier to say, oh, well, he has that experience, so he can bring that to the team versus personality, comfort level with the new team. And it goes through all ranks of sports when you get into a new team. Yeah, you might have been a leader or you have that experience on your old team, but it's a whole new group of teammates. You don't know how they're going to respond to it. Are they going to be like, oh yeah, we respect you because you won a national championship? Or are they going to be, you're the new guy, we don't care what you have to say, you didn't come here initially? Or is it somewhere in between where he navigates it just well and like well enough and helps the team go through? They won't know until the season starts. And while we won't know until the season starts, they'll know once they start getting practice and getting to know each other. And maybe the guys are asking them, how did you guys do it at Denver? Or just kind of shut him out until he proves something because he only had 6 points. You just never know.
I think, I don't know, the way like we've seen sports change so much, I'm pretty sure he's already like he knows a bunch of the guys on the team. They're already in group chats. I'm sure there's some kind of already communication amongst them, whether it's text messages or DMs or whatever. Like everything, he's probably played with a couple guys in juniors and knows some of the guys. It's could be part of the reason why he came to Western. When we talked to Sam last year around this time, there was some guys on the team that he had knew from juniors, even when they had played against each other in the NCAA tournament and down in Nashville. Like, he had known guys, and they were part of the reason why he thought coming here was going to be a good idea, other than just what the coaches were saying or what he was seeing production wise. So I don't know that it just doesn't seem to be as much of like that blind change that maybe you see a little bit more of in the pros when a guy just gets traded kind of out of the blue. But even those guys have played against each other for years now at this point. And again, it doesn't seem to be what it was in years past at any rank of sports. And we even like I asked Trevor this at one point. I was like, is the rivalry more for the fans now than it is the guys actually playing the game? How many times on Twitter do you see a defensive back in the NFL like give props to a wide receiver who torched either his team or some other team on the weekend? How many guys are there was what tight end U created like 2 years ago, where all the tight ends got
Hmm.
together in the off season just to make the group of tight ends better. Like that stuff wasn't happening in the 80s or the 90s. It was, you're on the other team. Like, I'm not helping you beat my team. Like, figure it out yourself, bruh.
I think my point though is more so um, the personality of the player,
Oh yeah.
because it's you you definitely have your alphas that come in no matter where they are, but they're also known as the alphas, where you can come in, yeah, you were on the team, but you weren't the alpha, and especially a team as talented as Western Michigan has been, um, you know, as UMD has been, St. Cloud State, a North Dakota, you're transferring in. How does your personality come through? And I think when we talked with Sam last year, yeah, he knew the guys, but he also, you could pick up, he knew what his role was going to be. And then as the season went on, he got more confident and he could become more of a leader
Oh yeah.
versus walking in and being like, yeah, this is how we did it. Like it's not like just to go back, like a Bobby Brink transfers from Denver to Western and walks in. We know he's an alpha. Hobie Baker winner, like top notch guy. He has that attitude. These guys are transferring in and they can give little tidbits here and there, but once they get more comfortable, then I think that's when it comes out where they can be helpful in that experience.
Yeah. I mean, he's played different games that he's gonna have a different way of pre-game stuff that whether coaching or not, like, there's just certain things he's gonna do that he's always done, and how they mesh with the players around him. We'll wait and see. Um, but I'm just saying, like, it's nice to have that kind of experience on the team. I don't think we've ever had national championship experience on the team. At
I don't think so either.
I think maybe the closest we got was Nick. No, not Nick. Nick is the older one that played for St. Cloud. I can't remember his first name, but Perbix. I think he was at least
Oh,
in the, and then Jack.
Jackson.
Jack. He was just Jack. I think he was in at least the national title game or the final four with Minnesota before transferring over, and was only here a year.
No, that's gonna bug me. Thank you.
Yeah, Jack Perbix. Jack.
Like I called both their games.
It's just Jack. He played for Minnesota for 19 through 22. I think one of those years they made the Frozen Four. If not, yeah, they lost to.
Yeah, they lost to Quinnipiac in the NC or in the title game last year. Not this past season, but the season before.
That's when he would have been at Western. Oh, I mean, I think they were Frozen Four the year before that, because wasn't it Minnesota State versus Minnesota
Um,
when Minnesota State lost to, because Denver won it like twice in 3 years, right? Yeah, they beat Minnesota
yeah, because
State.
they won it 2 years ago, Quinnipiac last year, and then won it again this year.
Yeah, I think Minnesota
Um,
was in that Frozen Four. I think it was Minnesota, Minnesota State, Denver, and somebody else. I think Western lost to Minnesota in the second round that year. I know that was your Quinnipiac won it. Here we go. This will be Yeah, Denver won it in 2022 over Minnesota State.
Yep.
I think I'm pretty sure Minnesota State beat Minnesota to get there.
5-1. Yep. So they were in the Frozen Four when he was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Denver beat Michigan, Mankato beat Minnesota.
Brain remembers some stuff. Yeah,
because Denver beat us 2-1. So.
Yeah, I think that was the closest we've had to a guy who's had, big level experience. Minnesota won the conference a couple times. With him there too, I believe, or at least once with him there. So, and he played well. He was definitely a net front guy. I think he fit into the team well. I just don't know that the NCHC was necessarily the play style he wanted to play. But at least with Tristan, he knows the NCHC style. Again, we've seen this coaching staff do some pretty great stuff and get the best out of some players, and develop guys who are earning pro contracts. So we'll see what's there and how the team develops and how they mesh. Again, I think it's going to be, there could be a lot of turnover from last year. We just don't know yet. We don't know what the team's going to look like still. And we may not until September, or, when legitimate practice starts back up and teams can be together on campus with coaching staffs and run scheduled practices. So it's the one thing that kind of sucks is Western just doesn't put out hockey news like some other places.
And I do think that's kind of the exciting part to look forward to, especially with UMD and the last couple years that we've had, where I'm not quite sure what we're really doing at the goaltender position. But the offense, it seems like we have a good group of guys coming in, young guys, especially Shagabe. He watched him in the state high school tournament, that it's high school, but it's still Minnesota high school hockey. Really good. I was looking up his USHL stats, and he's one of the better players in the USHL. Is the game going to translate? Maybe, probably, just because with how Minnesota high school hockey is, but you don't know, and it's something to look forward to within the first couple of weeks of the season. How does the team look on the ice, especially against some of these non-conference opponents, and especially in the exhibition games that you have?
Yeah. Newcomer to the conference, as we've mentioned, Arizona State's coming in. It'll be a 9-team conference next year. They have lost 2 goalies to the transfer portal. They get one out of the transfer portal, Luke Pavikic. Pavicich. Goaltender from UMass Lowell. Also played at UMass.
You're supposed to be the one that can do the difficult names. My last name has 3 letters.
That's never been true. Never ever has that been true. I've heard my name messed up so many times that I just don't care about getting names wrong.
I've heard mine messed up 4 times in a row, and I have 3 letters.
Yeah, well, at least you have some vowels, unlike Martin Firk, whose name is literally FRK.
There's that.
I think I have one of his Red Wings jerseys in my closet. Anyway, that's beside the point. I don't really have much else. I mean, the portal's closed. I guess there could be some talk about Summit League trying to create a hockey conference. We could dive into that for a few minutes. If they did, teams, there's only 4 schools that currently have teams in that conference. That being Denver, Omaha, North Dakota, and St. Thomas. The other teams that are in that conference, or other schools that are in that conference that don't have hockey, are Kansas City, North Dakota State, Oral Roberts, South Dakota, and South Dakota State. So I don't know that that'll be, unless they can figure out how to get 5 teams up to Division One. I don't see them making a push to be a conference anytime soon. And even if they did, what's the draw to, pull Denver, Omaha, North Dakota, and even St. Thomas out of where they're currently at in the NCHC and the
Yeah,
CCHA?
I mean, Denver, North Dakota, and well, Denver and North Dakota are not leaving the NCHC. Um, and I don't see any reason for St. Thomas to go out of the CCHA. And there's only 2 other schools. Oh, in Omaha. But the only 2 schools that I could see getting a Division 1 hockey program are NDSU and SDSU. Um, and that's only because of their football programs. Like NDSU, perennial contender for the FCS uh, football championship, and SDSU has been up there recently as well. Uh, those are the only 2 schools. Fargo, they have the Fargo Force. Um, I think where's South Dakota State? They're in um, Brookings, so they have, I think it's the Brookings Blizzard or something like that. I'm pretty sure they have an NAHL team, but still not necessarily enough, not an arena to go do that. Summit League can try. I just think they're gonna fail. They need to not do a Summit League. They just need to get a bunch of other schools and create another hockey league if they really want to do that.
I mean, the only thing they have going for them is their commissioner is, what's his last name? Josh. Is a former commissioner of the NCHC before Heather Weems. Fenton, Fulton.
Yeah, Fenton.
Jess Fenton is running the conference over there as it is right now. So he knows what it takes to build a conference, but again, I just don't see not the prestige level, but yeah, the prestige level to really make a team like Denver, who has 10 national titles, and North Dakota, who's a big school, even Omaha, to want to pull out of what's been one of, if not the top college hockey conference since its inception, to rebuild again and to not have some teams coming that were playing extremely well in their previous conference. Western Michigan was playing really well before joining the NCHC. Miami, even though they have fallen off in the last few years, was playing really, really well in the CCHA before coming over to the NCHC. Um, I don't think Arizona State has been playing really pretty solid hockey as an independent, now making the jump to the NCHC. I think we get too caught up on wanting everything to go through the normal channels. I don't think there's going to be a MAC hockey conference because, MAC quit sponsoring men's soccer. I don't see them giving up one sport to now try and sponsor an even more expensive sport. Even though, there's quite a few MAC schools that have teams. Actually, I don't even think that's necessarily true, at least Division 1 teams. There's Bowling Green, Miami, Western. Which one just came over? Mass? I think UMass just joined the MAC for football, at least.
I think it's
But
what it's going to take to get another hockey conference is enough schools getting Division 1 hockey at the same time. Um, but if you have an independent here, an independent there, kind of like in Arizona State, um, the Alaska schools that want to join a conference, I don't really see, or like the WCHA kind of folding in upon itself and the CCHA reemerging. I don't really see any other new conferences coming in because, okay, there's one here. We'll join Atlantic Hockey. We'll
Yeah.
join Hockey East, ECAC. Um, the Big Ten schools, they're automatically joining the Big Ten, uh, like Penn State did. I know it's still been rumored that Illinois is going to do it. Uh, and there's not enough teams out west other than Augustana, them getting their Division 1 program, they're joining the CCHA, kind of like St. Thomas. Now, St. Thomas had to do it out of necessity because they were forced out of Division 3. But there's not going to be that much change, I don't think, in college hockey compared to the rest of the sports as far as conferences go.
No, and then you have to look at, if you once you hit Division 1, you're unable to play for the national title for what, 4 years, 4 or 5, 4.
I think it's 4, and actually Don Lucia, I think it was might have been the one I sent you, but he was talking about it with St. Thomas. If they would have won the CCHA this year, he felt that uh, they should have been allowed to play for the national championship because guess what? You won the whole conference. You earned that
Wasn't
automatic bid.
there was it a basketball team? No, it was a football team. They were in they went like 12-1 or something. They played Appalachia State.
Is it that Stonehill that went Division 1 in all sports or something?
Maybe. But they
Because
weren't
they have a hockey team too.
they weren't allowed to play. There was like a big push to get them like allowed to be part of something. I don't even think they got a bowl game. Or like they didn't get like I don't
They were
think it
playing App State. They were probably it would have been an automatic bid because the FCS, because that's what App State's in. But
I know there was a push to be like, hey, can we like they were kind of down south. They were southern-ish. I think they were a Carolina team, like in the Carolinas.
but regardless, the point is, and Don Lucia, he won back-to-back national championships, as hockey fans know, with Minnesota. Longtime coach there before Motzko took over. He has it right. If you are good enough to win your conference tournament, like regular season, and then win the conference tournament, why not let them in? They are the best team. Yeah, we understand the regulations and whatever, but they did this. Why penalize the players for this? Now, should they get net large? Nah, I'm fine with that. They don't get net large bid to whatever tournament it's in. But if you win the whole damn thing, then you should be in the tournament. I don't understand the reasoning behind that.
I think this is it. Maybe. No, why would you put? I don't want that. I'm just saying, like they didn't do it for their biggest sport. I doubt they're gonna be okay with doing it for a smaller sport. But let me double check. I'm pretty sure this. I think it was James Madison. their football team.
Because I think they also lost their football team, like they lost their hockey team for a little while. Well, and then like if
Yeah, they couldn't even play in their conference like championship game. Step it, don't make noise.
well, and it's so what if Alabama Huntsville was to get their team back again for the third time?
So that would essentially be like, well, I mean, just look at like St. Thomas this last season. They were leading the CCHA for the longest time.
Well, and
They
that's
wouldn't
that.
have been able, even if they had won the conference, it would have been whoever finished second in the tournament was going to get the automatic bid. But
Well, and that's
but
exactly what
imagine
I was
imagine
just
they weren't
saying.
even eligible to play in the playoffs. Like they had won the regular season of the CCHA, but they weren't even allowed to play for the tournament championship. Like that's what I'm saying. Like they did that to a football team where they weren't even allowed to play their conference championship game.
Yeah, and that's Don Lucia's point, and he actually is the commissioner of the CCHA. He's like, what sense does this make? What sense does this make?
But what my point is, like, even if he were right, which I'm not disagreeing with him, I'm not disagreeing that any team that plays that well should be at least given an opportunity to win the championship.
They at
But
least
they
have the
weren't gonna make the exception for the most. Like everybody was kind of, if you were in the college football world, you knew who James Madison was. I'm not that big into college football, so I knew of them, but I didn't know it was them.
mhm.
But like the biggest, if not the biggest college sport for sure, if not the biggest sport after pro football, and in some regards, maybe even slightly bigger than pro football in some aspects. College football isn't going to
Depending on
let a
where you're.
team compete for even a conference championship. They're not going to let, their fourth group of sports have it.
And you could argue even now it's maybe even fifth or sixth or seventh
Yeah.
because softball is pretty big. Women's basketball now has jumped up astronomically, which it should. Volleyball is pretty popular.
I mean,
Um,
it might be third in winter sports or fall sports. You know,
yeah,
college basketball, college football and
both men
college
and women.
basketball compete against each other at least in the fall, and then when spring hits, it's men's college basketball is the hottest thing going. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, it's interesting the way that the world works, and college hockey continues to kind of be pushed to the side and treated like the unwanted stepchild that you're stuck bringing along to family gatherings and stuff. So, but there's also that group that really, really like it, like us. So we'll just continue showing it love and guard it from those other evil human beings that
We'll
want to
we'll
keep
keep
tearing it
carrying
down.
we'll keep carrying the flag for college hockey and
Yeah,
especially the NCHC.
we'll sneak it back up. Pocket Chips Ahoy. Just, you can go, little guy. You enjoy your cookie over there. So, I think that's going to do it, though. We've been about 50 minutes of nonsense. 4 minutes of the intro, 50 minutes of us figuring out how to talk about hockey for a little bit. I've got nothing else. We'll see what comes up. We need to do some programming stuff at some point, but we need to figure out. I don't know. I think have they released. I don't know who's released non-conference. I think Miami has.
I know
Oh, yeah, that's
we
right. You
have
have.
our
I just need to
some
know the
stuff.
first week, because then we need to go. Yeah, 2024-2025 schedule. Here we go. Saturday, October 5th. And Sunday, October 6th is your first games. What? What are you doing? You playing 2 exhibition games? No, you're playing a weird split series with Bemidji State, you
Oh
weird
yeah, we
people.
do that. It's only like 2 hours.
You play Bemidji State October 5th to start the season. Then what could be, I'm assuming, is an exhibition game against the University of Manitoba.
Yeah.
And you finish
Then
that series with Bemidji State on December 31st on a Tuesday.
you know what? We just don't like the Midgie. Okay.
Nearly 3 months later.
We're us bulldogs are allergic to the beavers. I was on this.
So that would be, we do what we did last year. October 1st would be the last. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. August 6th. We should start. Yeah, we're doing a lot on air production meeting here. August
Yeah, I was
6th.
gonna say let's figure this out after.
No, I like doing it on here. It's more fun.
Can't
August.
waste my time.
I mean, why not at least put it up there and then, finish out the hour here. August 6th would be the start of team by team breakdown. So hopefully all the schedules and rosters and what else? I think that's it. Would be done by then.
Yep. Sorry, I checked out.
And then we'll have to talk to Brent about coming on for Omaha, which I'm sure he'll be down to do again.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to Nick, I believe was his name, from CC about potentially coming on again and helping us look into them. And then we need to figure out how to maybe make some new friends.
I don't know how to do that.
Maybe we see if all right, we'll wrap this up offline. We're gonna do the YouTubey things if you want to. You're adults. I don't the plan, but apparently you had to say this crap. Hit like, subscribe, share, whatever. I hate doing this part of the show. I hate it. But they're down there. Do stuff with them if you want to. There's a Gmail. It went by. It's past. You can rewind. You can fast forward. It'll come again. I don't. There's a show Twitter. There's our personal Twitters. They're down there. They've been down there the whole show. They've been down there for like 3 years. They're not going anywhere. Yep, that's it. We're out of here. Bye.